So welcome to episode 68 of Jazz and Friends. Today's special guest is Brendon Henry, who was a college captain at Mac last year. He's from Jamaica, puts in the work 24/7 and achieved our school's only 40 study score in business. How's it going, mate?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. Hope you're going well with obviously Omicron right now. And yes, the virus is
Yeah.
always a topic.
Yeah, it's crazy out there. I went to the CBD the other day and it was just like basically deserted.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna handle it, but we'll get through it like we always do. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So I want to touch on. I'm sure we'll touch on this a lot, but your year 12, obviously half of it was like in lockdown and all that. But if you could do something differently in year 12, what would that be and why?
Well, my year 12, uh, the disruption really put a wrench in things. It was difficult to really get a grasp of all the subjects and all the deadlines that I had to suddenly work with because I, couldn't go in school. What I had to do was I had to learn some techniques to organize myself and make sure that I, get in everything on time. So what I would go back and do is I would go back and teach my past self quickly how to get a calendar up and running, how to set up reminders, stuff like that, because it really goes a long way to ensuring you have everything in place for your year 12. It can help you with your SACs. It can make sure that you're spending enough time studying and that you get decent marks for your SACs and your coursework completion.
100%, mate. And like the life skills are so important. With I've got a like manual calendar where I write things in. I'm sure you do as well. But it's important to organize yourself, especially during these tough times, because so many people are just like wasting time on social media, and it's got like the reverse effect of the social aspect, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. It's so easy to get into social media these days. It's so easy to get sucked in. These platforms, they really know how to keep you on there. They have these different algorithms and they just make sure that they're sending the right content to you at the right time. So yeah, making sure that you can cut it off when you need to was a critical aspect of getting through year 12 for me. I actually use like a digital calendar so I get the reminders on my phone
Oh yeah.
often. So I didn't a manual calendar, I tried it, but it didn't really work for me. So tried Google Calendar, which comes with the account that Mac gives us, and it was really helpful. So I guess use whatever you can. That really helps.
100%, mate. And now let's go back to, growing up in Jamaica. I guess that's obviously a lot different to Australia, but can you talk us through, what was it like growing up there and the key differences between Australia and Jamaica?
So growing up in Jamaica, it was a very different experience from Australia. I remember fond days of going by the river to swim and having jerk chicken with family and friends at the local cook shop. It's really just more laid back.
Mm.
It's definitely slower paced than the hustle and bustle of Melbourne, but I really appreciated it because you got to really relax and take life one day at a time. Going to school, it was it was kind of like your traditional school experience. You know, you I used to play with my friends and we used to always chat every day about, you know, whatever kids talk about these days. And yeah, we had our issues and, fights and little disagreements here and there, but overall, I've made some really um close friends. And to this day, I still keep up with them, even as I'm all the way over here in Australia.
Yeah, that's really good, mate. And how big was Usain Bolt back then? Because obviously he was winning all these world championships and gold medals. I presume it was quite big in Jamaica.
Oh, he was big. He was really big. We would always tune in to hear the news about the track and field, to see what he's doing at the IAAF Diamond League, all the different races. We used to always listen to the headlines from channels like CNN and BBC to hear what record he would break. It just became like a pastime of ours to, just sit and wait and see. I wonder if he's going to go first this time or if he's going to break a new record. And we always love seeing him represent our country so proudly. And it really instilled a lot of pride in us as a country, as a nation. And fun fact, um, it's like just a little
Yeah, go for it.
um like inspiration. He actually inspired kind of like my username that I have Biddy to the world. It's like how we say to the world um in Jamaican, which is to the world. And that that to the world was his signature pose that he would do after he won a race. So if you watch him when he's won races at like the Olympics or the IAAF, you'll see him do like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his
Yeah, it's
signature
beautiful.
pose. And I was just really inspired by that. So 10-year-old me created my email address and stuff like that. And now it's stuck like that.
Nah, thanks so much for sharing, Brendan. Amazing story about Usain Bolt. And yeah, the Diamond Leagues, I'm interested because, like, obviously I run and all that, but not many people watch the Diamond Leagues. It's interesting how you guys back in Jamaica followed it, so closely across the whole year. So, good on
Yeah,
you.
we would follow it, especially during the um like I guess the summer seasons
Yeah, track
where
season.
yeah, it would even stream on like televisions and TV stations in Jamaica. So we
Oh,
would
God.
get live coverage of what's happening and see all the standings and scores.
Yeah, we need that in Australia. Athletics Australia, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Do it for Jerry.
Yeah, cheers. So we spoke earlier. You wanted to add this bit. Can we talk about like your travels around Australia and Victoria? Obviously, you've been to like the West Down and Mountain, Dandenong, Mornington, like plenty of locations where people go on holiday and all that. So talk us through your experiences, around the great country of ours we live in.
I have to say, like, since I've come here, I've done a lot of traveling to a lot of different places. It's a joke in our family that we always seem to be on the move, and we've gone to all these places that a lot of locals have never been to in their lives before. So like we we've we've gone to a lot of different suburbs. We like to keep track of all the different suburbs to see if we can tick them all off. So I used to live in Mooney Pond, so that was one. And I would frequent the area to like, Ascot Vale, Newmarket. And since I went to Mount Alexander College, I would take the train often to go to school. And that really got me into the whole travel deal because I use the train a lot and I've learned a lot of the different lines where they lead to and where if I want to go somewhere, I learned how to switch at different stations. And it's just been a real, journey. And also, I've traveled like obviously by car to more remote places. Like I've gone out to Melton. I went there actually to meet a friend, and
Yeah.
she had us do this hiking trail.
Oh
It was
wow.
a 5 kilometer hiking trail along the Werribee Gorge, but by the time I was halfway done, I was almost dying.
I can relate,
Like
mate.
I wasn't prepared for that, but it was really good. I got to see a lot of wildlife. That was the first time I actually saw kangaroos in person, so that was a cool
That's
experience.
beautiful,
And
mate.
afterwards, I've gone to like Gippsland. I've gone out to regional Victoria, and there I was able to see some more wildlife. I got to see koalas up close. I got to touch them. And they're just really beautiful creatures. One thing that I've learned from all of these travels is just how diverse Australia is. Like, there's really something there for everyone. If you're
Mm.
a hiker, if you're like a cyclist, if you're a nature lover, there's something there for everyone. You just need to go out and find it.
100%, mate. Like Werribee Gorge is a beautiful place, and I should maybe try to go hiking there as well. Haven't been down there, so yeah, good stuff,
Yeah, but
mate.
if we go, please take the 5 kilometer route with me. Don't go the 10K. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
do that.
no, no, I'll stick to a five. Oh yeah, hiking's not my specialty as well, Brendan. Don't you worry about that. Oh.
Good to know we're in the same boat.
Alrighty, so how about you obviously moved from Jamaica to like Melbourne and started at Mac. How was it like transition considering we have the vertical structure and you connect with all year levels?
It was very interesting. At my old school at my old schools in Jamaica, we had the traditional system where
Mm.
we were organized by age, where we all learned the same things. And it worked well for me, but I could definitely see for some of my classmates it wasn't working. Some of them struggled with the subjects. And my my traditional school, my traditional high school, they had a very strict program where we had to do a certain number of subjects. So for instance, we had to do, say, Spanish, English, geography, and we couldn't opt out of them until like we progressed to later levels.
Oh,
And because some of my classmates weren't geographers or they weren't, Spanish lovers, they struggled in those classes. And I imagine it took a real toll on their
mental health.
self-esteem and their well-being.
Yeah.
But when I came here and I saw the vertical learning system, I was impressed. I was a bit skeptical at first. I was like, wait, how do they know where to place the students? And are they sure that the younger students or the older students can handle this or that class? I was curious as to how it would all work out, but when I got more established into Mac and I saw the different classes and how everyone was just interacting seamlessly, I was amazed. I was really impressed. This vertical learning system has been a real miracle because it got me to get out of my comfort zone and meet a lot of different people that I otherwise wouldn't have. And I learned about different things from my peers, the different interests they had, and how their classes really fit what they wanted to become. So I met some really talented artists in some of the art classes. I met some very talented writers, some very talented, hopefully future mathematicians. And I was really amazed by how all of this diversity could be accommodated in one like single class structure. It's really a big departure from what I was used to. And I'm glad I got that experience at Mac.
Yeah, that's great. I remember we had a chat probably a few years ago. We were doing this like delegates thing down at like a high school, and we had this like
I remember
interesting
that.
political
I
chat. Yeah,
remember when we were doing that.
that was a great chat.
I think it was a mock UN.
Yeah, mock you in. Yeah,
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some really interesting conversations, and they had the different countries. I don't even
Yeah.
remember what the prompt was, but I remember it was really funny. Some of the students they were
Discussions.
trying
Yeah.
to do their best to respond how they thought their countries would, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm sure you'll be doing that in the world stage in a few years' time. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all those experiences, I'm also glad that we had those, outreach programs at Mac where we could extend ourselves, um, and get some real world experience
Mm.
on what to expect. I'm glad for that.
Yeah, awesome. And good segue, Brendan, because how do you study? Like, what tips can you offer to people like me daring to go the distance for 40 study school? Because obviously you've done that in Bizman, 44, and obviously with
Yeah.
tax as well. So talk us through that, mate. How do you study?
Well, the thing for me is like studying, it goes a lot hand in hand with doing work. So I I do a lot of homework because as a VC student, I got a lot of homework, especially because I did all humanities. So
Yeah,
I
lots of
was
writing.
always working and completing tasks, and I got the opportunity to just learn more of the content and understand it at a deeper level. What I did, in addition to that, I would talk to my teachers a lot. So I would email, for instance, Miss Maharaj if I didn't understand what I needed to write for something, and she would explain it clearly. And from there, I would figure out, okay, I need to understand this in order to do that question or this assignment. So communication with my teachers, while you might not think of it like as studying, it does form part of the process. And in addition to that, studying for me really involves going over the content and and making sure you understand it.
Hmm. And regarding like practice exams leading up to the big final exam, how did you go about it there? Like how many did you do? What sort of stuff did you cover?
For practice exams, I was a bit average. I did about one or two practice exams per exam per subject, and I tried to get as much feedback as possible
Hmm.
from my teachers. The thing is, teachers are a great source of information. They really understand you and they understand the subject, so they'll know where they need to meet you in order to let you do your best. So it's not just about the number of past questions you do, although that does help in knowing what questions to expect and the structure. It's ensuring you get high quality feedback so that you can fix your mistakes and improve on what you're already doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I reckon you're a quality over quantity type person, maybe. Like quality's
Yeah,
important.
I think both are important, but to be honest, I lean slightly more to the quality side.
Yeah, yeah.
If I can do a lot of things, I'll do them. If I have the time to do, say, 5 practice exams, I'll do it. But if not, I'll try and focus on doing one or two that I know I can get good feedback on.
Mm. Yeah, that's really good tips, Brendan. I'm sure plenty of upcoming Year 12 students will take those tips very well. Thanks for sharing. Alright, so this is now about your college captain experience. Obviously, did it with Maz, friend of the show. You guys had your challenges with COVID for pretty much half a year, and some tours were online. But how did you find the overall experience with public speaking, school tours in person? Just give us a rundown on that.
It was a bit challenging, but it was also really rewarding. With COVID in the mix, really put a strain on us to really find different ways to interact with students because a lot of the traditional ways like in-person groups and other stuff like that were not in the question. We had to become ingenious and figure out effective ways to deliver online things that everyone would like. And I had to talk with Maz and other members of the student leadership team to get those ideas flowing. In addition, the the work, it was like since we didn't have those clear-cut meetings again where we would discuss things in person, we had to slowly just let the ideas come out instead of just doing big brainstorm sessions like we used to. So in that sense, there was a lot of challenge. In terms of public speaking, well, I think I'm pretty good at it, but it took a while to get that practice and to know that really everyone just wants to hear what I'm trying to say and just delivering that effectively. A lot of volunteering happens. So if I was offered the opportunity to speak at an event or to say something on behalf of the school, I would do my best to volunteer and, figure it out from there. And that really helped to develop my public speaking skills and also complement my leadership skills. Taking initiative was another big part of that.
100% taking initiative. That's the main thing to take away from this, because obviously, anyone can do public speaking, but it's about like the amount of times you do it to kind of get used to the situation. Sometimes you're speaking to like 10 people in a tour, and then sometimes you're at assembly. So like getting used to different situations is also important, and you epitomize that.
Yeah, it can be hard if you don't know your audience. Like I know it's hard for people to talk to an audience they don't know, like for instance, a group of teachers or other outside persons that they don't normally interact with. But I think if you just be calm and have, faith in yourself that you can do it, you can get through it. And afterwards, you can, gauge the responses of the the audience and see what you did well and what you could improve on. But really, initiative is like one of the big things. Like just putting yourself out there is a good way to gain that experience, even if you don't feel like you can do it.
For sure, mate. Thanks so much for sharing. If one thing I could take away from this chat, be taking initiative. So, yeah. Um,
Definitely.
so this is more about university now. So obviously, congrats on getting accepted into Melbourne University. Can you talk us through your course you're doing? Because it's in arts, but arts is quite broad, if that makes sense.
So I've chosen to do a Bachelor of Arts in Politics and International Studies, and I hope to become a public policy expert for, government agencies to help coordinate Australia's response to different issues like international law, diplomacy, and human rights.
And how long does this course go for?
It's a 3-year undergraduate course,
Oh yeah,
and throughout those 3 years, I'm going to be learning, about general arts as well as specific stuff relating to today's politics and, you know, the rules of international law.
yeah. And it can like it's funny how arts can go into like journalism, then it can go into law and all that. So yeah, interesting to see.
Yeah, I like how arts is so broad. Like you can start somewhere and you can easily transition to another profession
Mm.
by the end of your course because there's so much for you to explore. It really gets you curious and yeah, it's just a really good sphere to be in.
Yeah, and just on politics, Brendan, can you talk us through your opinion on that, like federal and state issue we had in Australia about not going to name the player?
The
I know
Novak Djokovic
he's already
incident.
got too much publicity. But yeah, what are your
I
thoughts on that?
think that I think this whole issue has just shown that we need better coordination between state and federal governments
Mm.
because the like while the federal government did eventually intervene, the state government should have, in my opinion, done more to check whether Novak was eligible to be in the Australian Open as it relates to his vaccination status. Overall, um, I think the whole issue was handled well, minus the whole publicity that it got.
Yeah.
Um, and also, like, did you hear the whole thing with the judge? Like, I think it was Judge Kelly who, um, my mom was joking that she thinks Judge Kelly is a fan of Djokovic, so that's probably why um he managed to get the injunction to get him to stay the first time.
Oh, yep. That's why the visa got like accepted the first time, right? Because of Judge Kelly.
Yeah. So I think there are there's potentially like interests going on, and I think that that doesn't belong in politics. It should be, impartial and everyone should have the same
Mm.
opportunity. But I'm glad that Australia did the right thing and they refused his application because it wouldn't be setting a very good example for
No, it
everyone
wouldn't.
else. Just because you're the number one doesn't mean you should get a free pass on being vaccinated. And given what all of Melbourne's been through in particular, it just wouldn't be sending the right message to us. It would just be saying that all our resilience and all of our patience during the lockdowns, we would have just been for nothing.
Yeah. Mm. Exactly right. Well spoken, mate. I guess now we should move on to a bit more like I don't know, funner note. So let's talk music now.
Yeah.
Like, what genre or artists do you listen to, Brendan?
I listen to a lot of different artists. I think I can't name one artist out of my head that I'd say I listen to the most,
Mm.
but I could name a few. So I like Kendrick Lamar. He makes good music and I like his, latest stuff. I think it's really good. I
Yeah.
also like I also like some Taylor Swift from time to time.
Yeah, same. So I got you, man. Yeah, yeah.
But I'm trying to stay out of the whole, you know, stuff debate that's gone up and taking sides with, her latest album and the whole drama with Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm trying to
Oh, I think I
avoid
saw
that.
that on Snap or something, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, I think let me give you some background. I think it had to do with one of her songs that she sung, and it was talking about, you know, when she was younger and, what I think she didn't name who the guy she was singing about was, but she gave enough, like, I guess,
Indication.
descriptions to for fans to like link that it was Jake Gyllenhaal who she was singing about in the song, and they were taking sides and
Damn.
in just true fashion, just saying, oh, he shouldn't have broken her heart. He shouldn't have done this to her, stuff like that.
Damn. And what's your favorite
Yeah.
Taylor Swift song?
Um, my favorite Taylor Swift song is I think Wildest Dreams. I really like the dreaminess of the tune and
The heartbeat, yeah.
the just the lyrics. It's really um like a really heartwarming song to listen to.
It's great, mate.
It's also my mom's favorite. My mom's
Oh,
a crazy Taylor Swift fan. So
oh,
naturally, I just gravitate to her and her songs,
that's cool,
especially
man.
that one.
Yeah, my favorite's 22 because this year's 2022 and it just like symbolizes the year, I feel like. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Who is it by again?
That's by Taylor Swift.
Oh,
Brendon, you're selling me.
sorry about that.
Oh,
I haven't had the chance to listen to every single thing yet, so I'm still going through.
that's alright. Speaking of this, now there's a money segment, so funny stories. Do you have any funny stories from either days at Mac, Jamaica you want to share to the listeners?
I'd say, well, one story I have is just like once I had this really pressing global politics sack I had to do, and it was me and one of my friends. We realized that in order to do the sack, we had to finish our plan because how it worked was that we had this plan that would guide what we wrote and give us the necessary information to complete the sack. And we hadn't finished it. I had started it, but I had a bit left to do. And when Miss Maharaj told us that we wouldn't be able to do the sack if we didn't hand in our plan by this time, then it became a mad rush during lunchtime where I was trying to, write as small as possible because it was a smallish plan, so not much space to put the stuff I needed to remember.
Yeah.
And I was just there writing and writing, and my friend and I were writing. And we continued in English class, and we decided we were gonna try and be sneaky and stay at the back and try and finish the plan there. But our English teacher saw us and he called us out. He's like, "What are you doing?" And we had to we had to give the, you know, details on what we were doing. And at first he wasn't going to let us continue. He said that, we don't do other teachers work in his class. But we pleaded and we begged and eventually gave in and he said, okay, 30 minutes. 30 minutes of working on this and afterwards you finish the work, the English work that I have.
That's good.
And you should have seen us there for the 30 minutes. We
Just
were
like,
just writing and making sure that we had every section filled out. And afterwards, surprisingly, we actually finished the work he had
oh,
after the 30 minutes was up. So it's not like he could hold that over us. And
yes.
afterwards when class ended and we were passing him, he just said to us to like not do that again.
Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about, but yeah, it seems like you guys are very efficient learners. So getting that done, obviously would have taken a fair bit, like as a rush. But then getting the English work done as well pretty quickly is
Yeah.
testament to you.
I had to.
Yeah, next year, this year's gonna be tough. 3 terms of school. It's
Yeah.
gonna be all crammed in. Um,
No, you'll be fine.
yeah, I'll see how we go. What about this one? So, what's a book or movie you recommend for the listeners?
Well, one book I'd recommend is the one that I'm reading now, which is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It's a novel that deals with this girl, Ifemelu, her experiences living in America and her moving back to Nigeria, and all the things she has to grapple with in terms of identity as a result of that. It's a really funny book, and I definitely recommend that anyone who like is interested in immigrant stories or the experience of like being a person of color, I think they should definitely check it out because it's a really gripping book and it's really funny as well.
Cheers, mate. And what about a movie recommendation? Might as well just go both.
Movie recommendation. This one is kind of out there, but I'd say Tenet. It's this science fiction movie that deals with what happens if you can like travel back in time, but it's not like your regular time travel movie. It's more what if you could reverse things? And I really like that concept. So it's like a James Bond-ish movie, and just watching the main character Tenet, I think he's called, just try and unravel this plan to destroy the world using these reversed objects that like you have a pen and it's like you don't you have to pretend like you dropped it for it to come back to you. So it's like this and then it goes back in your hand. I don't know, it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check out that movie, especially if you're into, detective movies or just science fiction in general. It's a really cool movie. It is a
Sounds
bit
good.
long though, so be ready to be in for the long haul.
I'm sure it's not as long as Spider Man because that was like 2.5 hours. So.
Well, it's slightly long. I think it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes something.
Oh, longer.
Yeah.
Still be good though. So yeah, give
Yeah,
it a
but you'll
watch.
enjoy every minute of it.
Cheers. Next segment is called Quick Hands, which is 5 quick questions. So, Brendan, pineapple and pizza, yes or no?
Yes,
Yes, love that, mate.
I stand by that.
Stand by
It actually
that.
tastes good. People are missing out.
100%. English or maths?
English.
English. Yep, that makes sense. um, who's your favorite celebrity?
Favorite celebrity.
Oh, can't
I
go
can't
past
think of
Usain
this
Bolt.
quickly. Okay, I'd say hmm, I don't know, Liam Neeson.
Oh, not bad. Um,
Yeah, I
where's your
really
favorite?
like the Taken series
Sorry, my bad.
and just his work in like Star Wars because I'm also a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah, that's good, mate. What's your favorite place to visit in the whole world?
Favorite place is this one's corny, but it's like home. I love to visit home. I like to stay home and just be in my space.
It's fair, mate. Fair. And last one, what is your most used app on your phone?
Let me check that by the way. Let me see.
Yeah.
According to this,
Sorry.
my most like my most used app is Safari.
Safari. Oh wow. That's good.
But
Yeah.
like second runner up is Instagram, so
Oh yep. Still, it's better than having Instagram as your top one because I think that's my top one. So, yeah. Um, got a few more for you, Brendan. So this one's a bit more serious. What's the best piece of advice someone has ever given you?
best piece of advice. Well, I think one one I'm just thinking, what's the best piece of advice I've gotten? Probably that you know, nothing's all things pass eventually. So,
Hmm.
you shouldn't worry too much about a particular situation in life or, something not happening for you or failing because it all things eventually pass and you can try again. You don't have to dwell on the past forever about, your failures. Just pick up yourself and move on. I think that's the best advice I've gotten.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, moving on is important because I read this book called Let Go. I was still reading a bit. Like it's letting go about like the past and being in the present and all that. And yeah, it's important to do that because too many people dwelling about COVID or like what's the case numbers. But it's important to yeah, like you said, move on.
Yeah, I think I once heard this interesting like saying. I don't remember what it was word for, but it goes something like too many people dwell on like what they could have been and worry about what they and also worry too much about what they might be
Mm.
without like thinking about what they are. You know, they think too much about the past and they worry too much about the future and they don't spend enough time in the present.
Facts, 100% right. Present is key, alright, everyone? That's the takeaway as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I guess last one but not least, Brendan, what's next for you in 2022 and beyond? Like, what are your top three goals, as always say?
For 2022, I'm going to focus on just improving my life skills.
Mm.
So making sure that I can, you know, interact with a lot of different um, people in different situations and handling them accordingly, improving more of my like professional life. I want to work on that a bit more. So I want to, make more connections and I want to learn more about like the industry that I'm interested in, which is politics and the international law. And lastly, just, keeping my last goal would be to just, keep mindful and to keep sane, like keep calm and stress free during COVID because it's crazy out there and there are a lot of scary news articles about what's happening,
Yeah.
what's to come. So just keeping grounded and present is another crucial goal of mine.
Love those goals because they're like about life, university, and they keep calm. Do you remember those keep calm gifs they used to have back in the day?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it reminds me of that. So, nah,
keep
good man.
calm and carry on. Keep calm and this and that.
Keep calm and run like Usain Bolt.
Yeah,
Anyway,
keep
Brendan.
calm and stay home.
Yeah. Keep calm, get the vax. Yeah, we can do this all day, but sure you got better things to do. So appreciate the chat, Brendan. Obviously, second ep of season three. Started off with a bang, and best wishes with University at Melbourne. I run for Melbourne University, so I'll probably see you down there. And hopefully catch up
Yeah.
soon. Once Omicron is done. So best wishes, mate.
Yeah, best wishes to you. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciated your invitation. And I'll make sure to keep posted on your podcast. Really good stuff.